Well, welcome everybody. It's 10 o'clock, so we're going to get this show on the road here. Thanks for all attending. Today, we wanted to talk about utility locating and the conjunction with surveys. So with everything going on, construction projects still have not come to a halt. So we really wanted to focus on, the different services that are out there and how to stay efficient while still being able to meet your financial goals on your projects. So we're going to jump right in. Let me see if I can get this to work because it doesn't let me. All right, so quick introduction to our team. Many of the people up on the screen are here today. So specifically for this webinar, we're going to have Dan Prasher, George Preen, JD Sutton, Brandon Sandell, myself, Nick Casina, and also one of our GIS analysts, Sean Zanoni, who is an expert in our FME processes and keeping everything running smoothly. So basically, quick introduction to who IETC is. We are a DOT compliance, land survey, data management, inspection, and mechanical integrity company. So our vision here is to combine all of these services together so that we can help meet our clients' needs and get the projects completed efficiently, on time, and on budget. So by combining these services together, we can actually provide a more holistic approach to these projects and really, help be innovative and do things differently than other companies. So to get into it, George, can you quickly kind of get into what kind of company IETC is, just in a little bit more detail?
Sure. Thanks for having me this morning as well, and good morning, everybody. My name is George. I'm the Director of Data Integration. My team is in charge of GIS solutions, data management, asset management, jumpstart programs, and survey technology. And I would say, to sum up what Integrity EPC is a group of motivated professionals. We're subject matter experts. We're a team and growth-oriented company. Our dedication to innovation and technology for our customers is the utmost importance in keeping costs down and maintaining quality of service.
Nice. So George, can you just kind of quickly speak to the other services that IETC provides for utility locates, survey, and data management?
Yeah, and it's talking about survey technology in a nutshell. We last year, when we started talking about launching our survey division, just started looking at ways we could streamline not only this industry, but where could we fit in and what will distinguish us amongst our competitors. And we started vetting out different data collectors. We started working on our own data collection application. And we started working on what's more cost efficient and what's more, going to be useful within our skill set. And just to give you a little bit more background before we talk about the actual services, is our company is set up for GIS solutions. That's kind of our forte. We kind of focus on that. So we wanted to bring the survey technology and bridge our skill set in GIS together. And we try to go out there and find the right tools for that. So in doing so, we found out that we could do things in the cloud using different types of data collectors that can automate our processes. Not that we're eliminating data processors, but we are allowing ourselves to be more innovative in using the automatic data processing options that we have in the cloud. So we can use things like Teraflex and mobile applications like Trimble Connect that helps us automate those processes and gets accurate positions correctly, which enables us now to download that data in the cloud real time into a geodatabase for all you GIS people in there, and then put that into an application or a platform where we can use that in exhibits, and different data analysis and that kind of thing. So I would say, as far as technology and where we're at, we really vetted out like what's going to work for us in our company, and we figured out we needed two different workflows. We're going to need that GIS workflow that's not high accuracy. It could be sub-meter based on the federal requirements or COGCC requirements. And then we also need that other survey workflow for sub-centimeter accuracy when we're doing boundary control and, catastrophic types of surveys and monument surveys and that kind of thing. So we got about these two different workflows that work best for us. And then we've created our own data collection solution called BlueHawk. And then going back to your question though, Nick, is we can, as an Integrity EPC, provide utility locates for COGCC flow line registrations. We can provide DOT compliance work like right-of-way patrols and inspections. We can do pig tracking for ILI runs, ILI data analysis, and we can provide GIS web tools and software solutions.
Awesome. Well, cool. So, George, you just mentioned BlueHawk. I know Dan's on here. I'm trying to get him to unmute, honestly. But in the meantime, could you quickly speak to, what is BlueHawk and what does it do?
Hey, I thought this was a panel. This is sounding like the George and Nick show right now. But yes.
I know.
So yes, and I'll let Dan elaborate on this, or maybe Brandon, but BlueHawk is our data collection mobile application. And it can be used in conjunction with all of Integrity EPC services, from land survey, GIS, utility locates, DOT compliance, right-of-way patrols, mechanical integrity inspections, et cetera, et cetera. We can provide a customized reporting and forms, GPS data collection and inspections, and MI database solutions for field operations. Brandon, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think the main thing that I want to say is just the sheer flexibility of BlueHawk is just enormous. That pretty much anything that you need to, any form that you have that you want to modernize is something that BlueHawk can do, and we've applied that to all of our divisions, all of our teams, and we're using it in numerous different ways within our own company and seeing great results and efficiency. So I think BlueHawk is just something that's an extremely powerful tool, and we have it integrated into all the work processes that we do.
I could add in on that, George, JD Sutton here, if I got a second. Just yesterday we were working and Brandon kind of director of technology does the back end BlueHawk MI database, and then myself, field ops, director of field ops, mechanical integrity. I kind of handle the field and data acquisition, and we are now using BlueHawk to basically collect our CML data when we're doing baseline data, thickness readings on facilities. And just yesterday, we're doing it for a client and collecting it. And by using these smart forms, rather than the technician writing down the readings, the technician assistant writing down the readings as the technician gets them, then taking those readings and those written down on paperwork and then going back and putting it into the field report to then submit to the API for review or the client, and then entering that to a data entry clerk and going into the MI database on the cloud. We now, that technician assistant, as he calls out that CML data, he just enters it right into his tablet. And from there, it goes right into the cloud and splits into three directions, actually. One is a certified report to the client that if he would like that emailed in real time, or to the supervisor like myself. It also gets put into our secure cloud database, which is that we use. And then the third one is the data goes into the BlueHawk MI database if the client is using that. So we basically take 3 or 4 of those steps of that workflow that not only creates a more efficient, I mean, it is probably 30 to 40% faster. So you start looking at a 3 to 6 month data acquisition project, you can then now drop that down into whatever that is, a month and a half to 3 months. But Also, you're taking the human error. When we get humans writing things down, this causes a lot of error and then a lot of time, which is actually in the end a cost and a project schedule slippage. But taking that human error factor out and creating that efficient workflow, that data is going from step one, input, and then it's secure rather than being rewritten. So this is a very efficient method for basically all areas that Integrity EPC provides. And that is something that we can give a specific demonstration for if any client would like to see.
I love it.
That's a perfect segue.
Yeah. You just hit it, JD. I was just going to piggyback on that. Like the flexibility into what BlueHawk can do, not just from a survey and utility maintenance, point of view, but, 811 maintenance, crew organization, MI, mechanical integrity. There's a lot of people that say they can do some of these things. They just can't do all of these things. And to have this wrapped up into one package that's very cost effective and easy to roll out, I think is huge.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
So since we're on the topic, I mean, we've got our panel of experts here, Dan, George, Brandon, JD. Could you guys quickly just each kind of run through of like specifically which applications you use BlueHawk for, in your different departments, since you guys are all different department heads?
Who do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Dan Prasher, and I direct the Pipeline Integrity and Compliance division of Integrity EPC. And a lot of what follows underneath 192 and 195 as far as required assessments periodically, annually, all of those can be done through BlueHawk. So anytime you're trying to do valve maintenance or class location studies or what have you, that can all be done through BlueHawk, and that information can be streamlined in the ways that have been previously talked about by JD and George. So yeah, pretty much anything that falls underneath 192, 195, and for that matter, 191 and 194 as well.
Nice, Dan.
Sure.
Well, this is Jordan, and I could just quickly tell you what we're using it for. Now that we're starting to roll out field crews more on a regular basis, we're going to start using BlueHawk for our field to office survey package, if you will. So what I can do now with BlueHawk is wrap in all my documents pertaining to preliminary survey location. I can give my crew GPS coordinates and directions on where the site is. I can also push a shapefile or a KMZ in there and give them all the documents that they need, like staking files or exhibits or anything like that will help them a little bit more define their scope of work.
Yeah, one of the big things that I always saw, George, was, the hardest thing about getting a survey crew out the door is getting all the information that they need to be successful. So I think that's a great application, having it all centralized in one spot and virtually, so they can't say, well, you didn't give me that, or I forgot to download that. So that's great.
Yeah, and it works offline and online. So if you don't have Wi-Fi access at the moment, you can still use the reports, the documents, et cetera, grab your GPS locations, and then when you're back to Wi-Fi, have that resync up with, to the cloud.
That's perfect. JD, do you have anything else that you wanted to add about, the capabilities and how you're utilizing this on your projects?
Yeah, no, we are using basically anything that we do a form for in-service or new construction. So this could be anything from your QA checklist to manage your package reviews on pipe in new construction or vessels. We do our in-service API 510, 570, 653 forms on this. So again, rather than the API going out there and taking all their photos and getting all their data and then spending a day billable time to write that report, they're actually doing this right in the field. Above and beyond that, we actually are able to mirror if the client has their own inspection checklist or their own API, let's say 510 inspection form, we can take their written inspection form and actually digitize that, so that when the inspector goes out there, there is no doubt that they are getting everything that not only is code compliant, but also if there's anything above that that the client wants. Above that, as we can see, this sort of map location, which is also a GPS location that the inspector gets. So when he clicks, hey, I'm at vessel 11, 1200, whatever, and he clicks GPS location, he also signs and dates it. So all that information is right there in the report, which again, as soon as he clicks complete, it gets uploaded to the cloud, which also helps on a project management aspect where I can see these emails come in, or I can look at the folder because it goes in real time into our cloud base and say, okay, the inspector's done, 5 inspections over the last morning. If I don't see anything coming in, I can give them a call and say, hey, what's going on here? What issues are we facing? And then take care of them in real time. Above and beyond that, there's really some bells and whistles about doing geo fencing so that the form won't actually allow inputs until that inspector is actually at that site. So if we're looking at, separator vessels on well sites and we want to make sure that that inspector is on the correct one, as you pointed out, Nick and George, like we can put P&IDs on here if they're doing piping CML data acquisition, so they can have the circuit ISO map in there. They can also have mapping. They could have pictures to say, hey, this is the actual vessel that you're going to be inspecting. Here's the data plates, so that, an inspector doesn't do a 2-hour mob, go out to somewhere in the middle of nowhere on a few separator sites and inspects the wrong equipment. We're trying to create efficient and take all that human error out. And technology really aids us in doing that. So really we cover anything from OSHA 119, 119 on the mechanical integrity. We could also do PSSR, PSM program, document tracking. And that's really on the data acquisition side. And then Brandon can touch base on really the back end side of BlueHawk MI, which is really takes the smart forms and data acquisition to a whole nother level.
Yeah, let me jump in there. Again, this is Brandon. 2 things I want to touch on. JD already covered, did a fantastic job covering a lot of what we're doing with the inspection side of things. And as he alluded to, BlueHawk MI, that's a IDMS or inspection data management software or system, a solution that we can synchronize all of our inspections that we're taking now and push that inspection data into this backend. And this database that's basically a cloud-based web app that does, if folks on this are familiar with IDMS systems, it basically does all the analysis on UT inspection data, the last inspection, the inspection intervals, the next inspection dates, and puts all this into different types of dashboards. You can file attachments and basically organize all of your inspection data. And it's not only is this applicable to the IDMS that we have, but pretty much any database backend that you have that you need to push this information into, BlueHawk effectively synchronizes or pushes information into a variety of different systems and setups. And for us, having this BlueHawk in my backend just makes a to Z service for anything related to inspection from a 510, 570, 653 perspective, and then from PSM, PSSR, whatever we're doing inspections on, we could push that information over and analyze it and get solutions out the door rapidly. So from the point of taking information in the field to getting it into our system, that's pretty much filling out a BlueHawk smart form. And then once it's in our system, without the human error that really gets in the way of staging data and moving data manually, it's really quick to do your analysis there. So I think it's something that we're really excited and would love to share and present this and give you guys more details of some of these particular topics. The only other thing I wanted to touch on was the pig tracking. I thought this was a really cool example, and not just ILI pig tracking, but one of the uses of our technology that I thought was fantastic was basically there's a operator that's having trouble confirming whenever they ran a cleaning pig, and making sure that the pumpers are saying, hey, we're running these cleaning pigs, we're doing them at the interval that you say. I don't know why there's still these operational issues and these operational challenges. So the idea is really simple. Well, why don't we have a pig receiving form, and every time a pig is received, the pumper will take a picture of the condition of the pig, the returns of the pig, sign it, and it would automatically have date, GPS location to make sure they're at the right location. And then that will automatically get uploaded into a system where the coordinator can then take a look at all of the forms that were filled out. And with that information, I mean, it's a really simple form, but with that information, they not only can confirm that the cleaning runs are being conducted as they were stated, or as the pumpers were saying they were doing, but also tracking the interval over time to show stakeholders that, hey, this is, we're taking care of these operational issues. We're actually following through with these pig intervals. But having that picture of the returns and the condition of the pig will allow the coordinator to adjust how aggressive the pig is, the cleaning pig is, and to make sure that the program continues to be optimized, or if they need to do some sort of some sort of chemical treatment in conjunction with the cleaning pigs. So all of that was able to be done just by doing that one simple form. And I'm just throwing that out there. It just gives, hopefully that gives you an idea of, hey, we have a problem. How can we solve that with a modern solution with some sort of form? And it's just incredible a basic idea like that, and how much that has changed the pig cleaning program for that particular client.
That's really cool. Awesome. Well, so that's a quick intro to some of the technologies that we're kind of using. So now I kind of want to get into, looking at utility locating services, what and why we're doing it, and then just a quick case study on how we utilize all of these technologies that we've kind of spoken on in the beginning of this presentation on a project to meet our clients' needs. So George, can you quickly just kind of get into utility locating, like what and why do we have to do this for our clients?
Yeah, and I think this is really important, the why. There was a bill that was passed in 2018, Senate Bill 18-167. It was basically the enforcement of the requirements related to the location of underground utilities. And what does that mean? That means, subsurface utility engineering is coming into play here now on construction and helping in the aid of design on the site and that kind of thing. And so when we talk about subsurface utility engineering, we're really talking about differences in the quality, the level of quality that is needed for each level. So when you're dealing with certain requirements, certain projects, you're going to have different levels of quality of utility location. So, that first level, or level D, is basically that records and research, data collection, internet searches, that kind of stuff, site inspections kind of are under this as well. Then we talk about that level C, or above ground survey. We're actually locating that visible utility feature, and then that could have been already surveyed, or we're going to survey that. And then, that level B, which is now required for most construction documents, we're now not only, obtaining level D and level C into that process, but we're also obtaining level B, which is now like accurate locations of the underground utilities. That doesn't have to include depth, but it can. So again, going back to what is required for the job, and this type of level B is typically for most construction projects, and then you go to quality level A, which is now getting that 3D visualization on where the actual utility is, and that's via potholing or test hole or something like that. And then pushing that out to your construction project. So what do? We're using the right tool for the right job. The accuracy, what is needed, what's required for our clients' needs. And then basically just enabling the flexibilities, the tools that we have. We're integrating data collection, our utility locate machine or tool, whatever we're going to use. Can that be used in conjunction with BlueHawk? And yes, and that's some of the things we're going to talk about here, and what kind of methods we used on doing this next project that you're going to case study for us. But all of these things in conjunction of addressing the why is what we're doing in capturing that data and using technology to our advantage.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, let's get into the case study here. So Dan, since you pretty much ran this project. Can you kind of explain the scope of the project and also just give us an introduction into what an HCA class analysis is and why this project required it?
Yeah, the class location analysis is something that's required in 49 CFR 192 for all gas pipelines. Class location is used per code to figure out design parameters in the that's used for pipelines. Of course, if you're going to be around, if you're going to have a gas pipeline that is near a larger grouping of people, larger population, it has to be designed to a stricter standard with a bigger safety factor. But there are various classes that need to be looked at different intervals according to the code as well, especially if they cross railroads or there are other types of things that depend on class. But at any rate, and I don't want to take up too much time with this, and I want to really get to the meat of it. But basically, we had a client come to us and say, look, we haven't had one of these, we need to have it. And so we sent a team out to pick up these points, and what's involved, what at a high level is involved with this is to look at all of the various businesses or places where people congregate in an outdoor area within a certain proximity of the pipeline. We need to figure out, okay, according to code, are these what are called qualified sites, which then trigger different requirements inside of code and more strict set of rules and requirements that are triggered. A lot of this is done with sub-meter accurate information. There are some companies that will do kind of a desktop study for you, and we will do that as well, just to kind of get an idea of what your class may be. But for class, and the HCA, I want to be clear, the HCA and the class are really two different things. HCAs are high consequence areas, and class is a class determination or a class of pipe you're using the ground. They are somewhat related but distinctly different. And so they normally go hand in hand. When you're getting the information for one, you're typically collecting all the information for the other. And since the code requires both, you end up doing the data gathering for at the same time. Using the kinds of things that George has talked about on this project, you're able to streamline a lot of that data collection and pull it into reports and records that JD spoke about, splitting 3 different ways. The actual record that you can hand to the auditor, and then plus the information, same information that then goes into the database, and you can do a variety of different analyses on it. The really interesting thing, or I guess true thing about data collection inside of the pipeline or inside of oil and gas is that if you get data, you do something with it, but then it never ends there. It always is then used for something else, and then for something else, and then for something else. So having that split and being able to into a variety of different destinations is key. Doing that in an automated way and making sure that we're minimizing the amount of human error that JD talked about, and ensuring a high level of data integrity through all steps of the process is really key. And I think Blue Hawk really does a good job in assisting all of those endeavors.
Really cool. Hey, so George, I know you were actually boots on the ground on this project. Can you kind of talk about just the collection methods used, what technology is used to keep things efficient and knock this project out in the field?
Yeah, we actually use 3 different types of applications as far as data collection. We use the Blue Hawk data collection for our reporting. So for our interview questions and the app that was used for the interview with the, the other office and people on the ground, and automated process for them to sign that interview questionnaire. We used that BlueHawk and building registration numbers to coincide with our survey data, so that when we push that data into GIS, we can have those two basically linked together. We also use a couple of different types of receivers. We use the TDC 150 that has its own embedded receiver. We use some Trimble software called Trimble Connect and Trimble TerraFlex to do data collection and automated processing in the cloud, where we can use that data, and it automatically does positioning and accuracies as well. From there, from the cloud, we can now download that information into GIS, where we can start manipulating or doing our data analysis on that program. We also use an Android application, really just a phone in TerraFlex with a different receiver, just to prove out the process that we could do it with an iPhone. So we basically recalibrated the iPhone, or not the iPhone, but a Google Android phone to receive that data in GNSS or GPS locations. So those types of data collection and those processes were the ones that were able us to complete this project correctly.
Nice. Okay. So just to get into it quickly, Dan, can you just talk about the data that you used? I know that we brought in the center line of the pipe and the corners of all the structures, and all the metadata associated with that, but how is that used to actually, complete the task at hand?
Well, there's a lot of requirements inside of the code, and that gets pretty deep pretty quick. But basically, you need to be able to provide a polygon that fits over each structure that is required by code. Also, any outdoor area, place of public assembly, and its boundaries, and use that in conjunction with a center line, a very accurate center line of the pipeline in order to calculate the various PIR circles and class locations that are required for HCA and class.
Gotcha. So Sean, real quick, when we were talking, you had mentioned using FME to kind of automate and kind of push data through in a quicker method. Could you kind of speak to the FME tools that you use to complete the work on this project?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, use two different tools on this project. One being to take the data that we collected in the field and merge it with the data that came through with the BlueHawk application data. That's the top one up there. And so that just allowed us to automate the joining of that data to the structures so it could be used in the class analysis. And then the second tool down below would be used to create the buffers based off the pipeline layer. We had two buffers in that. One is for 300 foot, the other is for 660. And then the rest of that tool is to basically create a KMZ using all of the data once it's all finalized.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, I'm about to open it up for questions. I do have one last question for George. So George, in your opinion, if you were to hire a utility locate survey vendor, what would be some differentiators you would be considering in picking the correct vendor for your projects?
Well, obviously, Nick, cost is a big issue right now, right? I think Integrity EPC is positioned well. As a company, we're small, we're nimble, we've got the right tools at our disposal, we've got the right skill set. We're OQ'd in certain areas where we can actually do and commit to resources on these projects, but also the right process and workflows that enable us as professionals to do our jobs efficiently and maintaining that quality of service that we talked about earlier. So, in us as a company, I think what really sets us apart from everybody else is our dedication to innovation and technology. We're not just saying that we're using technology or developing additional technology or software innovation and not doing it. We're really looking into different ways and strategies that we can provide this quality of service, the right skill set for our customers during these times, and setting us up for the future.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, I've gone in and allowed everybody to talk. So if anybody in the audience has any questions, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask away. All right. Doesn't seem like we have too many. No open questions. Well, we are just over a half hour here, so I think we can go ahead and wrap it up, but definitely want to just thank everybody who jumped on our webinar today. Hopefully some good information came across, and if any additional questions come up as you're kind of stewing over the information that we talked about today, definitely give us a call. Happy to help, with everything going on in the world today. Hope everybody stays safe, and hopefully we can all get through this and get back to normal life sooner than later. So again, thanks for everything, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.